At this point, we're just developing flavor. And this is where the magic happens. You can age a bagel overnight, but we like doing it for 3 full days. That's how we get the best flavor that we like. Can't even walk in there, there's so many bagels. Thank you. This all started out of a desire to get back to channeling my roots and my heritage. If you told me back then I'd be doing bagels, I would have told you there's absolutely no way.
So normally we see you at your trailer, but today we are at your commissary.
That's right.
So can you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about, how David Doughie got started?
Yep, I'm Devin. I'm the chef and owner of David Doughie's. I started this with my wife, Ashley, back in 2022, but the truth is it started way before that. It started the first week of the pandemic. I grew up working in fine dining, Michelin restaurants where I grew up in Washington, D.C. I moved here in 2019 with my wife and my kids, looking for a better place to raise a family and ultimately start a food business. That first week of the pandemic, I did like what most people do, and I started making bread. But the one bread that was important to me was bagels. Growing up in the East Coast, that's what you do on the weekends. You eat bagels. So I started making them, and the first batches weren't great, and we did it every single weekend. About a month in, I was pretty proud of what we were making, so we had a bunch of extras, and I started giving them out to neighbors. But eventually, once people wanted to pay for them, I started taking donations. And that's when I started to realize that I think I'm onto something here. Maybe this is something that I can turn into a business. 2022, we decided to officially launch David Doughie's. It was pretty funny. We were around the table. I'm with my wife and kids, and we're trying to come up with a name for the business. And I'm coming up with some cheesy names. And my 5-year-old Bowie-loving daughter at the time says, "Hey, Dad, how about David Doughie's, like David Bowie's?" And my wife and I look at each other, and we're just blown away that this is coming out of a 5-year-old's mouth. I'm constantly told or asked, "Hey, are you David?" "No, I'm Devin. I'm the chef and owner at David Doughie's." So we started making our bagels with heritage grains from Barton Spring Mill, and it changed this bagel that I grew up eating into something very unique that was a merge of this bagel that I grew up eating that could have been so much better through the use of quality ingredients. So using the best quality ingredients I can get my hands on locally, I have merged this thing from New York and this thing that is now here in Austin, using local grains from Austin, getting the taste of local ingredients, but the texture and the technique of New York style bagels. But what really sets us apart is these guys, my team. I worked in kitchens working for pretty much nothing, just to learn. At least that's what I was told. You're here to learn. And I learned a lot, but what it didn't do is it didn't provide for my family. So when it came down to my turn to be a leader, I knew that I'm going to be different than the leaders that taught me. Yes, I learned a lot, and I learned striving for perfection is unattainable. I learned the discipline that is required to be great. But what it didn't teach me is how to take care of my people. I knew that's something that I wanted to do. I spend more time, just as much time with these people as I do with my own family, and I pay them what they should be paid, which is a living wage. They get a very generous wage, and we tip share with all of our employees. So the process of this is really interesting, the way you'll see it, how it starts off with all the flours and all the dries mixing with the wet. It starts off as a really, really rough dough. And then ultimately you'll see the dough forming and coming together, the gluten developing. The process is really magical when you see this. The original mixer from when we started off out of our house. This thing's going on 4 years. This thing's pumped out, I can't even imagine how many bagels at this point. Still going strong. Been through 2 dough hooks. This is our 3rd dough hook that is snapped. But she's still going strong. When you hand roll a bagel, I love that you can see the perfection and the imperfection of the difference of every single bagel, whether it's Ever rolling or it's Nathan rolling, or maybe it's a little taller, maybe it's a little shorter, maybe it's a little flatter. But seeing that when you look at an array of bagels, there's something incredible about that, and you can taste that. You taste the love, the hand roll that these guys put into their bagels. When you have bagels that are made with a machine, they all look exactly the same. They are spit out of this cylinder, and it just pumps and makes this perfect looking bagel. But to me, there is something unnatural about that. Hear the sound. The dough is becoming so much tougher as it hydrates. And we know it's done by a sound. We can hear this snapping, and that is the grid of gluten that we have developed is starting to break a little bit. We got these beautiful ripples of the dough. You can see 10 seconds. That's crazy. Yeah, you guys do 150,000 bagels a year. Insane. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. What's that? We're doing more now. Remember when we did the contest, how many bagels you could roll a minute? That was fun. We should do it again. We should film. That was fun.
You know, you talk about that many bagels. Does that mean you have simultaneous teams running both, the rolling and the baking?
We do. So on certain days, that's one of my biggest struggles, is that I put in the trust with this incredible team to be over here to do what they do while I am working service over at the trailer. So on a given day, a Thursday or a Friday, let's say a Thursday, I will come over, I'm up at 5 a.m. I come over here, I meet my baker, Eric, where he has baked off all of our bagels. I take everything that we need to the trailer, from bagels to cream cheese to pickled onions, pickled jalapenos, anything that we need to be successful for that day. And every day, it's a lot of things. The challenges we face at a trailer are very unique. Makes it so much harder to do what we do not having a brick and mortar. We have a brick and mortar, it's right here. We're just not selling out of it, you know? I would love to have a brick and mortar location that we can provide to a larger audience, that we can have the capacity to provide to many trailers throughout the city. I'm just waiting for that right opportunity. All that matters to me is providing for my community. So once the dough is completely relaxed, you can see here that we have developed our gluten enough where we can do the window pane test, where we can stretch the dough completely like this. It doesn't tear, and we've formed that gluten matrix. That's how you get a chewy bagel. It's time to roll. We have the bagel makers, which would include the rolling and the baking process. And then we have the execution, our line cooks, the people who take our finished products that we make here and then put it all together. There are so many different hands that touch these bagels before I hand it off in the window to that guest. Every one of our employees puts so much love into every step of the process so that people can come and have that same consistent experience every time. It takes, Nathan to make sure he's getting his numbers right when he's weighing every single ingredient before he puts it in the mixer. It takes Ever here to roll this bagel to perfection, making sure he's getting that seal perfect every single time. And then making sure that they are perfectly proofed before we age them for 3 days in the walk-in. Then you have our night baker, we call him, Knight. He is the night baker who is our secret weapon. He works all through the night, baking off sometimes upwards of over 1,000 bagels in a single service between our farmer's market and our trailer. It's absolutely insane what we go through to make this one thing happen before we put anything on it. The dough has been made, the bagels have been rested. We have rolled the bagels, and now we are proofing the bagels. What does that mean? We are letting the yeast activate. Then what we're going to, once the yeast has been activated, we are going to stop the process by putting it in the walk-in. If we were to let these continue to proof, you'll get a traditional bread where you have all of those big, big bubbles. We don't want that. What we want is little teeny tiny bubbles. And that, ultimately what it's going to yield is that really dense, tight crumb of a bagel. But through the 3-day age, you're going to get many more bubbles, small bubbles, than you would get from just an overnight age or a 1-day age, which yields for us a lighter, tighter crumb, dense bagel, yet super light. Most bagel places will just age them overnight. That's mainly because they're not focused on developing the most flavor that you can out of a bagel. We found that 2 days we can get an okay bagel, but that 3-day mark is where there is a major difference in developed flavor. If you look at these, there's something beautiful about how different they all look. But if you can tell, they are all the same gram weight size, but in the end, they will all have their uniqueness. Not a perfect circle, maybe a little more oval, maybe a little taller, maybe a little shorter. But that is the fun of the hand-rolled bagel.
You've been fortunate enough to see an early preview of To Be Seen. What does that film mean to you and to the restaurant community that you're a part of?
You know, the restaurant industry is tough, even on a day-to-day basis when everything is going perfect. But what people don't see behind the scenes is that there are always challenges in this restaurant industry. What can go wrong will go wrong, and you have to have plans in place to make sure you can overcome those challenges. I didn't work during the pandemic and have to be a restaurant that had to figure out how to thrive and survive when they were faced with every challenge that they couldn't even imagine. It was heartbreaking to see what these restaurants went through. I mean, I know what they went through just because I'm in the industry. So I know the challenges that they must be facing. These restaurants that have a clear formula of success, and then all of a sudden they're faced with challenges where the rules, everything was thrown out the window. And here are these new rules, and this is what you need to do. And the amount of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears that these people, that some of them I know, some of them I don't, that they went through was heartbreaking to see. To be faced with every single challenge that is unimaginable and having to pivot and learn how to survive is an incredible story, an incredible feat that I saw these restaurants do. And they all had their own unique pivots that worked for them. But the one thing I did see is the willingness of these restaurants and these people for them to give it their all, to fight, to survive. I think one of the biggest things about food is people don't ask questions, about things that are important, about where products come from. When most people think back on the pandemic, everyone was in survival mode. Everyone was focused on what they could do for their family. They're going to the store, they're getting this or getting that, but people forgot about the community. People forgot about what they can do for their neighbor. Restaurants, chefs, we don't do this for ourselves. We do this for our community. I do this for my community. That's why I do this, because I want to provide a good bagel for my community. Wait, I got this. This real quick. David Doughie's. Hi. Haley, oh my God, thank you so much for calling. Finally. Did you get it through the emails or did you get it just by searching us? Oh my God, I'm gonna take a picture. I feel so bad because based on your response, I had a feeling you're not getting my emails for some reason. So I don't know if it was in your junk or what, but Haley, I'm in the middle of a video where we're going to be featured. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm allowed to talk about it. There's a camera facing me right now. Is there any way I can call you in 2 hours when we're done shooting? Thank you so much for calling, but I don't want you to have to worry. You are in good hands. We make upwards of 400 to 500 sandwiches on the weekend, so it is no problem. You are in good hands, and we can take care of you for your celebration. Awesome. You as well. And I'll talk to you soon. So a friend of mine couldn't help this catering order out, so he recommended us. And she emailed me, and I'm emailing her back, and for some reason she wasn't responding, but she just reached out. So I'm really glad I get to take care of her. She's here for a bachelorette party. We're gonna get her bagel face, her and her friends, get them some bagel sandies. Something that's really important to me is making everything from scratch. You can go to the store, you can buy pickled jalapenos, you can go to the store and get pickled onions, but we do all of this stuff in-house. One of our fan favorites is our salsa verde. We do it in the style of zug, which is a Middle Eastern sauce. So it's our fun spin on the Mexican influence here of Austin, but integrating fun flavors that I love. I love Middle Eastern flavors, so pretty much a traditional salsa verde. So instead of lime, it's the acidity is lemon. Instead of just cumin, we flavor with those Middle Eastern spices with plenty of cardamom, cumin, coriander. Traditionally, this is a broken sauce, zug, almost like a chimichurri. One of our fan favorites is our carrot lox. I think it's really important to satisfy all dietary restrictions and preferences. So instead of just doing like a traditional avocado toast, which everyone does to satisfy their vegans, I wanted to do a carrot lox. We thinly slice it, we brine it, plenty of smoke, and we marinate it in what we call an ocean oil. Gives you all of that umami. A lot of people think that for something to taste like it needs to be it, but no, it's actually its environment is what it makes it taste like that. So to replicate that salmon, we take its environment. We take the salt of the ocean. We take the umami of the seaweed in the ocean. We take that smoke of that smoked salmon. But my favorite part about it is that I don't love transforming something completely where it tastes like that. I want you to be able to taste both. So the sweetness of the carrot is still there. So it kind of plays tricks on you. Is it carrot? Is it salmon? It's a really fun one, and it's a fan favorite. We also do a bacon jam. It's a maple coffee bacon jam. This is something, sorry about my sloppy handwriting. This has been a fan favorite in my family for decades. It started off as something that I made for Thanksgiving one year with Parker House rolls, one of my favorites for Thanksgiving, and my family's obsessed with this stuff. So we take my favorite bacon to use as an ingredient called Benton's bacon. It's out of Tennessee. It's heritage pork. I believe their process is they cure it in salt and sugar for like a week, and then they cold smoke it for, I believe, 2 full days. It's extremely intense. By itself, I don't recommend it, but it is the best bacon you can use in a recipe as an ingredient. It's extremely balanced, for the most part savory sweet, but great acidity from the cider vinegar. It's an incredible spread that we put on our bagels to do with our egg and cheese. We also braise our own beef barbacoa. It's somewhat of a gringo barbacoa. It's definitely not traditional. We wanted to do something that's incredibly flavorful and pays tribute to the Mexican influence here of Austin. So we braise till tender for over 3 hours, beef barbacoa. This is actually a Michelin star recipe pickle here. It's one of my favorite recipes. Don't want to give up too many trade secrets, but a pickle shouldn't just be acidity. So it's got plenty of salt, sugar, spices, garlic. I love garlic in pickles. We do our own pickled onions. We do our own pickled jalapenos. One of my favorite things we do is we caper jalapenos. I come from kitchens where the most fun thing to do is take something that you would normally throw away and try and turn it into gold. And capers are great, but I thought to myself, what can we do with this caper brine that's left over that we throw away? And being here in Texas, people like their jalapenos. They like heat. Yeah, we have our capered jalapenos. So again, we just save the caper brine. We pour it over our jalapenos to caper them. It's just such an incredible flavor profile. The saltiness and the brininess brings out the fruitiness of the jalapenos really well, rather than bringing too much acidity to make it sour. Every day, I need to make sure that when I leave this kitchen in the morning to go to the trailer, I need to make sure that I have everything we need to be successful. I need to bring my car filled with product to make sure that we are set up for success. It's very challenging. We don't have the luxury of saying, oh, we're low on pickled onions. Just run back to the walk-in and grab those. Our walk-in is 15 minutes away from our trailer. With traffic, that's a 45-minute round trip, and it causes extreme problems that restaurants don't face.
So when people come and see your bagels, I mean, you're kind of challenging their expectations of what a bagel can be, right? So
We are.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people come and nostalgia is an incredible flavor, and a lot of people come and they're chasing that nostalgic flavor that they grew up eating, but we are not that bagel you grew up eating. You know, with our blend of unique local ingredients, with our modern techniques that we use when it comes to making that better product than one we grew up eating. If you look at our bagels, they are much darker than most bagels. A lot of bagels that we grew up having were very blonde. The bagels that we have these beautiful blisters. That's from the long age. We cook our bagels at a much higher temperature so we can get that Maillard reaction to get that incredibly crispy texture on the outside, but that nice chew on the inside. Bagel places are like one of the last restaurants to embrace that artisanal quality. You see these artisanal products of hot dogs and, you know, all these items that are traditionally overly processed and made with garbage ingredients. But for some reason, bagels are one of the last. But it took the pandemic and for people across the country to get in their kitchens, to make these things from scratch and know, you know what, we can make these better than the ones that we grew up eating. We pay tribute to that bagel, but we're something far different. We bridge the new and the old technique and tradition with modern technology and local ingredients. So people can taste something unique, something different, something that you can't manufacture or get at that bagel place that's down the street. So I'd say, come and try your go-to. If that's a bagel, everything bagel with scallion cream cheese, go for it. If it's a smoked salmon bagel, go for it. But we got pastrami smoked salmon on our menu. We have carrot salmon for vegans. We even do a cashew cream cheese to stay dairy-free. There's something for everyone on our menu. This is what's important to me. Using the best quality ingredients I can get my hands on locally, supporting local produce farmers instead of a Cisco truck bringing literally everything you see here, where I can just open up a can and serve it to you all and charge half the price I'm charging now and make more money than I'm making now. That's not important to me. What's important to me is not profit margin. It's providing for my people, building a culture of something that you can't get anywhere else.